We are back for another episode of the Tiny and Nate Show. Can you believe it?
I can believe it.
I can believe it too.
Jazzed. I'm so jazzed.
So jazzed. So the purpose of this podcast is to document our journey in real estate investing and to share with you so that you can develop time freedom, money freedom, and relationship freedom through real estate investing. What are we doing today, Tiny?
You know, we're going to do another deal breakdown. This is one of our earliest deals. And there's so many learning lessons and so many things that went horribly wrong and sideways, but it worked out in the end. And we learned a ton from the whole process. So I've got, I think, 4 basic questions that I'm going to run through and have you answer. And then I'll add some color commentary as usual. And then we might, if everything works out, be able to pull in a special guest at the end. Who was the buyer on this one?
The end buyer for one of our first wholesale deals. We'll bring him in on the show. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, we'll see if the tech works. But to get started, we'll just jump right in. Is that cool?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So the first question is, where did you get the lead? So a lot of people want to know, like, okay, how are you doing this? Mail, cold call? What's the deal? So how did you get this lead?
Yeah. Well, the short answer is ringless voicemail. The long answer is hours of calling and having phone conversations with this person. But this is back when ringless voicemail was a thing, I guess. You got to be careful with it now. So don't take this as permission to go do ringless voicemail. But, you know, as we were getting into this, we were experimenting with ringless voicemail, a very simple, personable message. What are you looking to do with that? We were using a list of vacant properties in our hometown.
Yep, that's right. And like you said, did it take 4 hours and 1 try? I think that was the thing that we were able to pinpoint that worked. But during that time, what other strategies were we using to generate leads?
Knocking on doors, postcards. What else? Gosh.
Walking.
Yeah. Cold calling at that point?
Yeah, I think so. Cold calling, driving for dollars. Were we doing Deal Machine? I don't think we were
not yet.
There yet.
Not at that point. Nope.
No. Yeah, but it's felt like we were just doing all the things. But yeah.
PPC, spending on Google.
Yes, we were. Lots of that. We'll get to that one later. Awesome. Well, let's see. So the next question is, how did you get the contract? So you got the lead, ringless voicemail, which is funny because when you got that, describe that a little bit more. Because the one that you called, what didn't they say, like, don't call this number or something like that? Or what? Not exactly that, but like you have the wrong number.
Well, yeah. I know what you're talking about. It was a dramatic situation because it was a separated husband and wife situation where the husband didn't want to be contacted, but the wife wanted to sell. And so it was pretty dramatic and tricky that way. We probably had both their phone numbers, but she ended up calling us back. And so that was part of the big drama of this piece, which I'm sure we'll get into when we talk about speed bumps. But generating the lead, honestly, the person that I spoke with, we spoke for hours. I'm sure there's lots of acquisitions managers out there who would have slapped me on the wrist, said, you are getting way too deep and personal with this person. But honestly, I'm just being myself and trying to understand this person's situation, and they needed and wanted to talk. And so I remember our first call was probably an hour.
Yeah. No, it was. So tell me how you got from the lead all the way to the signed contract.
Okay, so on that first call, I think we ended it with getting a commitment from her to allow us to come by and take some photos and see if it's a property we were interested in buying. Mm-hmm. Now, at this point, I called one of my friends who were hopefully our special guest, Cody Stacy, who I knew was a local realtor and who I knew got started in his career in real estate, wholesaling properties. And so basically my goal was just to have a wingman walk me through it the first few times. And so I called him and we went over there together and we met with the seller by sitting down in their living room. And basically we ended up walking out of there with a contract by being really flexible with our terms, letting her know we're going to close on your timeline. We know you've got lots of drama with this separation, with storage, with your daughter, with where you're going to go next. There was just a lot of drama going on. And so But we did walk out of there with a contract after it was probably the first or second time that we went. I think we might have gone back a second time. We weren't interested in pressuring her to sign a contract the first time. We just wanted to see the property, get her to meet us, make sure that she knew we were a legitimate buyer in town, and that we were going to take care of her and help her solve her problems.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the things I want to highlight about getting the contract signed is, you know, there are people out there that go in there and, you know, they're going to get a signature come hell or high water. And that's not how we approach it. And so I just wanted to underscore, like, I remember this one in particular. This was a really difficult time in the seller's life.
Right.
Lot going on that we needed to be really sensitive to. And I think you did a great job. And I think that's one of the reasons you were able to get this contract is you took the time to just like be a real genuine human that cared and listen. You listened to her story. You listened to the pain that was going on in her life, and you were willing to roll up your sleeves and become part of the solution. That we
Literally rolling up our
we'll
sleeves.
Yeah. So we'll get to part of the speed bumps here in a second, but that's something I wanted to underscore from your answer is, or highlight from your answer is being flexible on terms. It wasn't, you didn't go in there with like, hey, here's what we can do. Does that work for you? It was, hey, what works for you? Let's see if we can do that. And I think that was, you know, how do you think that perspective or taking that approach, how do you think that determined the outcome? Do you think that was key part of it?
I do. I do think it was the key outcome, because if we had pressured her to get the perfect number, like, you know, using our typical calculation, the 70% calculation or 84% calculation, whatever you use to determine your buy price after you figure out your ARV, probably wasn't going to work. It was off by a little bit. And so we knew that there was probably enough growth in the market, and it was in a great core neighborhood of Bellingham, that if we got it even at her asking price, even though it cut the margins a little bit, we knew it was such a great location. Such a rare find that we were able to move forward with her, even though her number was higher than we wanted to be based on the typical calculation you do for a wholesale or a flip.
Yes. All right. So you got the lead, you got the contract. You probably closed in 30 days, right? Let's talk about speed bumps. Speed bumps and what we learned along the way, because there were a couple.
Well, you know, it was when the seller told me that her ex carried a pistol around town. That's when I called you.
I remember getting that call and going, could deal with this, but I probably don't want to.
Yeah, I called my friend from Texas with the pistol of his own. No,
that's right.
With the big van. No, I mean, there was a bunch of speed bumps when she was going to move. We helped her store. In the end, we ended up helping her take a bunch of stuff to storage. We ended up helping the ex move on. I don't remember all the ways we did, but confronting him with the fact that she's selling the house, she owns it, she's moving on. It wasn't clean or pretty by any means, but
no.
And I think the closing was set for like 3 months out. Eventually we got it to about 2 months, which made a little bit more sense for everybody. But to get it to make sense, we had to assist her with those things I already mentioned.
Yeah, for sure. Like that was a big part. And that's something that I remember kind of freaking me out, because this is, again, one of our early on, first handful for sure. Going, oh man, are each one of these going to be this involved? Going to be this messy? And right. No, I would say that one has taken the cake thus far. However, it is probably one of the ones I'm the most proud of, because of all those speed bumps, and just no agent in the right mind would have solved all the problems that needed to be solved. And she would still be stuck like in an abusive relationship, being taken advantage of, and just in a miserable spot where like nobody was able or willing to help. And I remember just the feeling of getting her unstuck and like looking at that going, okay, this is overwhelming. I could see how this would be traumatic.
Yep.
But being objective, kind of third party people, we could look at it and break down all this complication into bite-sized chunks and work through all the problems, you know, whether it was confronting the ex and like giving paperwork and going, this is your timeline. This is what's going to happen at this day. All this stuff is going to go away. Like, that was scary and kind of like new territory. But this lady was also just totally screwed. Like she had nobody on her side to help. And so for you and I to be able to come in there as a investment in wholesaling and flipping, you know, say, here's what you want. We can help you get there. We're going to work through, and just being consistent. Like, how important do you think showing up and doing what you said you would do was to this lady who talk about that?
Super important. But Cody's now ready, and I want to add him to the stream because one of the other speed bumps that I want to mention here, let me add him here and we'll get him to test his audio. Cody, can you hear us?
Yes. Hello, gentlemen. Good to see you.
There you are, Cody Stacy, everybody.
All right.
Great to be here.
Cody and I traveled. Where did we travel to back in our day when we used to have a sales job together?
Well, the most notable trip was, of course, road tripping from Kansas City to Manhattan.
Manhattan, that's right.
Manhattan, Kansas. They call it the
Manhattan, Kansas. Yeah, not Manhattan.
Our funnest trip was down to Pasadena. That was great.
That's right. That's right. So, Cody, the question Daniel just asked me is what some of our speed bumps were. And I want to be frank with everybody. You came in as an end buyer. Well, you came in to help me. That's what I went to with, like, hey, help me put together this contract. Then you saw the deal, the property, and you were like, dude, I want to buy this deal. And so we had to get through the speed bump of making that transition from you just helping me land the contract to you being the end buyer. So we did some weird things like part of the assignment fee outside of title and escrow, which is never something we ever want to do again, but you were flexible and worked with us. So I would love to know from your perspective as the end buyer, the flipper. Actually, you're not flipping it, you're holding it, correct?
Yep, it's currently rented.
Awesome.
He renovated it. He definitely did a full reno.
Oh yeah, full
big time.
rented.
Yeah. So I'd just love to know from your perspective, as we went through those speed bumps, what was that like? And then kind of where are you now in your investing career, and how does that property fit into your portfolio?
Well, it's great. First of all, some of the weird obstacles were just trying to figure out, how to actually a deal that was a win-win for me, you, and seller. And there were some obstacles to overcome with the seller. What you guys? Yeah, it's great. I love having my portfolio a ton, but it has a totally. So happy about that. Working around the idea of selling in some larger 5-unit or something like that. We found a deal weeks ago, so we're running the numbers on it to see what it works. But we're thankful for the opportunity to own this property, to have the opportunity to bring in 25% down on dollars worth of units. So
sweet. Some of that audio was broken up a little bit in there, but what I heard, did I misunderstand you that at this point you're considering, do we keep this in our rental, or do we go ahead and sell it now that we've got it fixed up? Did I hear you right there?
Yeah, because it doesn't cash flow a ton. We're cash flow positive, which is great. But the main play there was the equity. We've probably got about $250,000 in equity sitting right there. Wow. So we can roll that equity to something larger, 4 or 5 units, to increase cash flow and just move that equity from one property to another. We're considering doing that. And my wife found us a good deal on a 4-plex. So we're running the numbers on it to see if that would make sense for us to do.
Sweet. I love that. So I think something Daniel, you and I skipped is this was one of our first wholesale deals as we got into real estate investing. And we made a $30,000 assignment fee by finding this property, getting it under contract. Cody, you helped along that process. And then we ended up assigning it to you, even though that wasn't what we originally intended. So for us, $30,000 initial assignment was pretty dang good. What it sounds like you're saying is there was still enough meat on the bone, even after a rehab, that you have over 200,000 in equity in there if you sell it today.
You broke up a little bit there, but you guys got a great assignment fee. I was happy to pay it because I was happy to have the deal. The way that the deal worked is, we got it for. Can we talk about prices on this show? Is that kosher?
Yeah, do it.
We got it for 360. We were planning on putting 50 into it. We went a little over budget. Put 60 into it instead. So we were in the whole thing 420 plus interest because we had it privately financed. So we were into the whole thing 5. So we needed the appraisal to come somewhere, if I remember, like 560, 575, 5.
Right.
Ended up appraising for 700. So blew us out.
That
so
is
we
awesome.
were able to.
That is awesome.
Pretty much free property at this point with how it worked out, especially with how the coolest part about this deal on my end is how we actually finance it. That's really what made it a dream property. People always say that this kind of effective real estate, the most important location. But if you got to on a bad location, if you can get financing, if you can get really, really good financing, you can make almost any deal work, whether that's creative with the seller, owner financing, whatever. Or if you have really good private financing, you can really make most deals work.
Yep. Got it. So in your situation, did you use hard money or a private loan, or what was it? It sounded like you said a private loan.
Yeah, not hard money, it was a private loan. Yeah.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah, our next deal breakdown will probably be our flip that we just bought on seller finance terms, 10% down, 7 months carry, where we don't have to use hard money. We keep more of the money both for ourselves and for our seller. Like we were able to offer $390 cash or $425 if he would carry the note, and so he gets more. He gets interest, and we don't have to involve hard money in that situation.
Yeah, and that's great. Hard money can get really, really expensive very, very quickly. Private money less so, but still very expensive if you're paying origination points and a higher interest rate, and you got the carrying costs on top of that. Seller finance is by far the best. It's amazing you guys are finding seller finance deals right now. They're hard to come by.
Yeah. Well, this one was on market, bro.
Really?
What we found is similar with this deal breakdown that we're doing is like when you're able to stick in there and solve problems and be consistent and even just make offers and go, hey, I know this isn't probably your dream offer, but if others back out, we're here.
Yeah.
Let us know. We're doing this every day.
And it's great to provide them multiple options, which it sounds like you guys are doing.
Yep.
3 different
Exactly.
options, 3 different offers, 2 or 3 different scenarios and how it can benefit them. And you guys as well, and your investors as well.
Yeah,
that's right. Well, we'll have to have you back on for another. We'd love to collaborate with you more because I think you've learned a lot through your career, from financing to raising money to working with contractors to buy and hold to flip to stuff you've learned as an agent. So would you mind coming back on another episode in the future and do another collaboration?
Oh, I would love to. I would absolutely love to. I think it's really cool what you guys are doing. And I love working with you guys. I love that you guys are in the ecosystem of the market that I'm working in and buying in, investing in, and selling in, really. Yeah, you guys are awesome.
Why don't we end with this? What is one thing you're excited about for 2022 for yourself in your own business?
That's what I'm excited about.
Say it again.
Buying more real estate.
Nice.
Okay.
We can help you with that.
Yes, you can. And I'm ready for the next deal.
All right.
Awesome.
Let's go find one.
Sweet. There you go. And then our last question was, how did you dispo it? But you know how we dispo it. We covered that. We sold it to Cody. So, man, thank you, Cody, for hopping on here with us. Nathan, great job. Is that a wrap, everybody? Did we do it?
I think that's a wrap. Thanks for
having me on, guys.
Awesome.
Let's do it again.
For being here.
Anytime.
All right. We'll see you on the next one, guys.
Peace.
Bye.